So how many of us have seen prepping videos where the preppers in those videos are telling you how you need to stockpile heirloom seeds for SHTF? But then how many of us actually seen those same preppers never actually showing you how it's done in their videos? So in today's video, you're actually going to see how easily this is done as long as you know what you're doing. We just have to face it. After SHTF, your beans, your rice, your pasta, and your potato flakes and other foods like that are going to grow very boring very fast. So I feel that it is very important that as preppers, we know how to grow our own seasonings so that we can flavor our food for after SHTF. And today we're going to learn just how easy it is to save the seeds from heirloom tomato plants right after the channel intro.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Ambulance en route.
Okay folks, I have to cover the basics really fast because there's going to be too many preppers, too many newer preppers out here that aren't going to be familiar with what heirloom seeds are. In a nutshell, most of the seeds that you will buy from the store shelf will be hybrid seeds. And hybrid seeds will grow you one good garden, but if you try to save the seeds from the vegetables or the fruits that you grow from that hybrid seed, many times those seeds will be sterile or they won't even grow a plant. On the other hand, heirloom seeds, they are not hybrid, they are more true to form. So if you grow a garden from heirloom seeds and you save those seeds from the vegetables and the fruits that you grow, you can replant those year after year. In fact, it's my understanding that as you continue to grow heirloom seeds and save those seeds and replant those seeds year after year, but that as each year that you do this, that your heirloom seeds become more accustomed to your environment, meaning that each year your garden and the fruit and the vegetables that it produces actually gets better and better. So now since we got that out of the way, let's get on with this video on this, what I feel to be a prepping skill that is of utmost importance for us to know. So today we're actually going to be saving the seeds from my heirloom cherry tomatoes and also my heirloom Cherokee tomato plants because the seeds from both of them are saved the exact same way. Now I have to admit this, I don't care for raw tomatoes, but I do like tomatoes cooked in stews and in roasts, etc. And me and my wife have also used these tomatoes to make some really kick-butt spaghetti sauce that will go great with the pasta that I've gotten from the LDS family home storage. This pasta is awesome. It comes in number 10 cans and it is ready to store for 30 years when you purchase it. So the first thing I'm going to do is first I'm going to pick a handful of cherry tomatoes from my heirloom cherry tomato plant, and then I'm going to pick a couple of the heirloom Cherokee tomatoes from my tomato plants. And again, I really like these heirloom Cherokee tomatoes. They got kind of a darkish greenish color on the top. Plus they are very, very sweet. And if you're interested in checking out these heirloom seeds, I'll put a link down below in the description box so you can check them out if you would be interested in purchasing them yourself. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to slice the Cherokee heirloom tomatoes in half, and I'm going to slice them horizontally. If you slice them straight up and down, you don't seem to expose the seeds inside of that tomato that well. And now what I'm just going to do is I am just going to simply squeeze the tomatoes and squeeze that pulp, that seed-filled pulp down into a glass of water. And putting the seed-filled pulp into water actually makes this process a lot easier because when you first squeeze that out, those seeds are going to have that pulp all around there just kind of sticking to them, kind of gelling to them. And then when you put it into the water, eventually that water is going to separate the pulp from the seeds. And then now since I've got the pulp, the seed-filled pulp squeezed into the glass of water, now I'm just going to give it a quick stir and I'm just going to throw it to the side. And now I'm just going to do the exact same thing with the cherry tomatoes. I'm going to slice them horizontally and I'm just going to squeeze the seed-filled pulp into a glass of water, and then I'm just going to give the water a quick stir, and then after I give it a quick stir, again I'll just set the cup to the side. And now what I will do is at least once a day, maybe twice a day, but at least once a day over the next several days, I will just take these cups and I will just give them a quick stir and set them to the side again. And what you're doing here is over the next several days, that water again will start separating the pulp from the seeds. The seeds will float to the bottom of the cup of water, and that pulp will either float to the top of the water or just kind of stay suspended in the water. And now, since about 3 days have passed, what I am going to do is I am going to pour the excess water out of the cup, again because the seeds have floated to the bottom, but I will pour the excess water out, the pulpy orange reddish colored water out. And I might just go ahead and put a little bit more water in there to make it even more clear, and then again pour that water out. And just pour as much water out as I can while still leaving the seeds behind. Now, an option that you can have here is to finish pouring the seeds out into like a mesh strainer, but I'm just going to pour out most of the water all the water that I can without losing the seeds, and then I'm just going to pour the rest out onto a plate here so that they can start drying. And I'm going to do the exact same thing here with the cherry tomato seeds again. Pour out the excess water, pour out as much as I can without losing the seeds, and then pour the remaining onto a plate so those can start drying. Now, really quick, I want you to notice just how many seeds I got from just those 2 Heirloom Cherokee tomatoes. You can see here that these 2 tomatoes produced dozens, if not hundreds, of seeds. These 2 tomatoes can make hundreds of new plants the following year. And that's just 2 tomatoes off of 1 plant. Can you imagine how many tomato plants that you can make if you actually took the seeds from every tomato off that plant, the dozens of tomatoes that a plant will make? If you took every one of those and got the seeds from them, you could multiply your next year's garden by 100-fold, if not more. And that's just something I don't think that enough preppers stress with regarding heirloom vegetable seeds and fruit seeds. Just how much you can expand your garden by learning how to harvest these seeds and save them. Folks, that will really help to feed you after SHTF when the grocery store shelves are stripped bare. Now folks, as the seeds dry on the plate, they might actually kind of stick to the plate, and that's okay. You can just use whatever just to knock them loose and just give them a couple more days to finish their drying process. And then after they've had a few days to dry and they're thoroughly dried, then I just make up a seed packet and I just put them in that seed packet, and then I just store them in my office or in a closet over the winter time, and then replant them the following spring. And I will say this, I think this is my 3rd or 4th year of growing these heirloom tomato plants where they've been planted using seeds that I harvested from the season before. I have not had to buy tomato seeds in several years now, again because they're seeds from the garden that I had the year before. So again, if you're interested in checking out these seeds, I'll put a link to them down below. And then because I live in a Midwest northern state where it's quite a bit cooler than some of you folks that live in California or Florida or Texas or places like that, I will, in late February, early March, I will take these seedlings, I will put them into little starter cups with some of my soil, and I will get them a head start next to a sunny window here in my house. And then once it becomes springtime outside and warm enough to plant, then I will transplant the seedlings from my house, from my growing them indoors, out to my garden. And then the process just starts all over again. Starts getting near fall, I'll harvest a couple of the tomatoes, cut them in half, squeeze the pulp out, soak them in the water, separate from the pulp, then put them on a plate to dry, and then store them for that winter. So let's now make this video a wealth of information for anybody that may stumble across it. So please do me a favor and comment below with some of your favorite tips and tricks for saving heirloom seeds. And also won't you please comment with what some of the best heirloom plants that you think would be the best for preppers to stockpile and learn how to grow, and then also why. And if you would like to see a video that details where I captured and cultivated my own wild yeast, which I then used to make off-grid bread with, such as how a prepper would be doing after SHTF, then click on the video that should be appearing on the top of the screen just about now, to learn more about that. And to learn about a great little $20 bug out stove that would be great for preppers, a stove that would fit perfectly into your bug out bag, a stove that uses twigs and leaves to cook your food with, then click on the video that should be appearing on the right side of the screen just about now. Anyways folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.